my take. What's yours? And then the second question is the complete collapse of the Greek economy and the potential collapse of Greek society at the hands of an EU junta led by Germany, which once, of course, occupied Greece and looted it in the Second World War. The European Union was desperate to save the Eurozone. It may, for the time being, have done so, but in doing so, it has destroyed the idea of the EU, particularly for people like me. I could never line up with the Europhobic, foreigner-hating, far-right who hate the EU because they're, well, foreigners. I don't hate foreigners. Quite the contrary. I don't regard anybody as a foreigner. But I do love democracy, and I cannot accept that for the bank's benefit, a country, a member state, an original founder member of the European Union, Greece, ancient and democratic, where democracy was effectively born, can be broken for the benefit of bankers. And that's what's really happened. Don't listen for a moment to the idea that Greece has been bailed out. Greece gets 8% of the money that comes from the IMF, from the European Central Bank, and from a variety of EU funds. 92% goes from one set of banks to another set of banks. These debts that you keep hearing about are not debts that have been realistically taken on by the people of Greece. They are debts demanded by blood-sucking moneylenders, banks, interbank lending and repayment. So what's happened with this latest 50 billion so-called bailout is that 42 billion or more has been imposed on Greece as a new debt in order to repay previous debts, largely to German and French, but other bankers also. Greece had an election. It elected an anti-austerity government, which had a right, democratically, to resist more austerity. They had a referendum not 2 weeks ago in which they rejected the terms because they were back-breaking terms imposed by the Troika, the junta of the European Union. All of that was disregarded. Indeed, Greece has been punished for electing an anti-austerity government, and punished for having a referendum, and punished for voting the way they did in that referendum. This is common, of course, just like the Palestinian people have been endlessly punished for how they voted in an election so long ago now, I can't even remember how many years it was. They say they believe in democracy in the EU, but it's actually hypocrisy they believe in. They believe in democracy as long as you vote the way they intend you to vote. If you vote differently, you'll be punished, and your country will be turned into, as Greece has now been turned into, a protectorate, an occupied country. They used to occupy countries and overthrow their governments using tanks. Now they're using banks. And these banks, these blood-sucking banks, are not just sucking the blood of the Greek people, but of the people, the working people, throughout the European Union. So what does the EU really want from Greece? It wants blood. It wants blood, and it wants surrender. It wants obeisance, subjugation to their gods of mammon, market forces, and right-wing neoliberal politics. Well, that's my take. Let's go to Michigan to hear the first viewer take from Ziad in Michigan in the United States.